Right? And on top of all these problems with, because I'm saying here there's a certain irony there to the fact that Culler says some people personify animals, even though he personifies dogs and horses, and that's ironic. It's like that song, Isn't It Ironic, by Alanis Morissette, which is really ironic because it's written by a woman who doesn't understand irony. And irony's great, but there's a problem with irony, apparently, which also feeds into the necessity for a post-human. Because Zizek tells us the most elementary definition of ideology is probably the well-known phrase from Marx's Capital. They do not know it, but they are doing it. I'm not going with the German there. In other words, that we all operate with a certain type of false consciousness. We do things we think we're doing them for one reason, but we do them for another reason. You know, you work all your life and you slave in a factory for very little money and you get 2 weeks holidays and you go somewhere where it rains, you have a miserable time, you come back and you work for another year and you look forward to your 2 weeks holidays. And you don't realize that that's a rotten way to live. You just kind of think you're happy. Marx would say this is an example of false consciousness and you need to pick up a gun and go out and have a revolution. And everyone kind of recognizes this type of false consciousness now at work. But what Zizek says is the very concept of ideology implies a kind of basic constitutive naivety. And what happens is that intellectuals start thinking, yeah, that person is suffering from false consciousness, without recognizing that they, or rather we, are doing the same thing. And Zizek identifies this as cynical reason is no longer naive, but is a paradox of an enlightened false consciousness. Let me show you how he explains it better.
Left shoulder, hoo-da! Right shoulder, hoo-da! Lock and load! Order, hoo-da!
Colonel?
Shouldn't have done anything. The movie's Full Metal Jacket, just a bit of a very brief background. In Full Metal Jacket, you're introduced to two soldiers, Joker and Pyle, they're friends. Pyle's kind of awkward, he's not cut out to be a soldier, he's big, he's heavy. Joker's a joker. He hangs back, he has a laugh, he has a joke, he's not really into being a soldier, but he kind of has to be a soldier. They have a sergeant who's really on the case, and the sergeant keeps insisting that they must be a soldier, that they are their rifle, that they must identify with their rifle, that they need to be their rifle is their best friend, and they need to be, quote, a killing machine. Pyle eventually cracks up, and in this scene, Joker finds him in the bathroom.
Left shoulder, hoo-da! Right shoulder, hoo-da! Lock and load! Order, hoo-da! This is my rifle! There are many like it, but this one is mine! My rifle is my best friend. It is my life! Get back in your bunks!
So the sergeant goes into the bathroom. What happens? Pyle shoots the sergeant, shoots himself in the head. Zizek argues Pyle completely identifies with the notion that he is a killing machine. He identifies with the instruction finally. He has a breakdown, and he has a complete identification. Joker, on the other hand...
Colonel? Marine, what is that button on your body armor?
A peace symbol, sir.
Where'd you get it?
I don't remember, sir.
What is that you've got written on your helmet?
Born to kill, sir.
You write born to kill on your helmet, and you wear a peace button. What's that supposed to be, some kind of sick joke?
No, sir.
What is it supposed to mean?
I don't know, sir.
You don't know very much, do you?
No, sir.
And yet, when it comes to the business of war, Joker is the one who goes about the business of being a soldier. He's the one who gets the rifle, goes, gets involved in the hunt for the sniper, does the effective job that a soldier is supposed to do. Zizek's argument is this: the new false consciousness is ironic distance. It is the person who looks at the situation and goes, I don't identify with this, this is all messed up, this is not for me, believes that somehow exonerates them from the situation, and then allows the situation to continue. In contrast, Zizek proposes, we are arriving now at a post-ironic moment in philosophy. People are no longer invested in ironic distance, they're invested in the earnest business of trying to change the world, or at least change their environment. So, reasons for the need to redefine the human to the inhuman. We are becoming more machine, less human, more automated. We are returning to a state equivalent with the natural, to a state of highly evolved natural equilibrium. And there's a clear contradiction there. The human is supposed to mean both of these things at the same time. And old school humanism is a cynical disguise for inaction. This phrase, I'm a humanist, I'm human, means, okay, so you basically don't do anything to make things better. Benefits of the inhuman. A new formulation with real potential. Embedded both in nature and autonomous systems, but aware of this paradox. Part machine, but understanding the mechanization of natural progress, issuing in a new relation with animals and a new form of humanity for humanity. Basically a whole new language, a whole new way of being that we don't fully understand yet because we're not completely post-human. But we want to go there, apparently. Disadvantages of the post-human, as far as I can see. A potential break with the history of humanism, which is more or less coextensive with philosophy itself, going back to Plato, 500 years BCE, the whole idea of the good. It seems to be something that we are prepared to let go if, as Badiou says, the inhuman needs to be a complete transformation. And of course, this discrediting of irony. Hang on a minute. The loss of irony as a good thing. George Orwell's house in Berkshire. I was invited last year to an auction in Katara, Sotheby's. I got this fancy invite. Come to the auction. You think like auctions are like pots or driftwood lamps or something? Not a bit of it. Highlights from the New York auction of contemporary art. So a major exhibition that's going on in New York makes its way to Abu Dhabi and Dubai and Doha. So people with lots of money can go and have a look and see if they're prepared to bid the astronomical prices that were being asked. So there I am in Katara, building number 17. I'm looking for it. They give some Basquiat. And I have this Francis Bacon. One of Francis Bacon's triptych of popes. And it's proposed to go for auction in New York the following month for $25 million. And I'm standing in front of it with a glass of orange and some canapes. And you're thinking like... And I'm even thinking like Bacon would like me to do that. But then I decide to get closer. So I get right up close to the Pope. This is kind of the essence of what I'm talking about. This is what I'm getting at. I'm looking at the Pope, and the Pope is looking at me, and I'm standing in building 17 in Katara, and he's been priced at $25 million. And look at the way he's laughing. And he's laughing like that to me, and I'm laughing back at him. And we are luxuriating in this ironic moment. Now, granted, it's not going to cause a revolution, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know how it was for him, but he has a bigger, wider job to do. Of Alice in Wonderland in relation to irony.